Good day, everyone, and Assalamu Alaikum.
Welcome.
Continuing with the success of 2020, where we hosted 104 leading CIOs in our cross-border panel discussions, we are pleased to move forward with this initiative in 2021 as well, inviting the top CIOs to participate in our cross-border panel discussions. So as part of the World CIO 200 Roadshow 2021 Bahrain edition, and on behalf of Global CIO Forum and its sponsor partners, I welcome the panelists here with me to this cross-border panel on leadership in the post-pandemic era. So it's my pleasure now to introduce our panelists for today. They are Samuel Amanor from Africa. So he's the CEO for Blue Space Africa. So welcome, Samuel.
Thank you, Arun.
Fantastic. Khalid R. Jalal from Bahrain. He's the Senior Group ICT Manager at Gulf Aluminium Rolling Mill. Welcome, Khalid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arun.
And last in the trio of panelists, Munir Ahmad from Pakistan, Executive Director and CIO at the United Insurance Company of Pakistan. So welcome, Munir.
Thank you, Arun.
Great. So a little bit of housekeeping. We will begin with 3 rounds of discussion with the panelists across the next 30 minutes. And to give a little bit of background about our panel, obviously we are seeing the post-pandemic recovery beginning, and businesses have been led by the technology heads. They are revamping their infrastructure and application stack, are looking at improving customer experience, getting higher returns from sales, driving business resilience and business continuity. But we're also seeing failed organizations and industries struggling, right? We are seeing consolidation, we are seeing shakeouts, we are seeing exits, and many of them can be linked to laggards in technology adoption. Hence our theme, leadership in the post-pandemic recovery phase. So let's look and let's discuss with our panelists about what drives leadership, what can help businesses to retain and keep their leadership position in their own market segments. So great. So I'm happy to begin, and let's start with the questions. I'd like to start with Samuel. So Samuel, you're based in Africa. You have a fantastic, let's say, startup organization, or however you like to refer to it, Blue Space Africa. Is it a startup or is it already an operational business?
It's thank you, Arun. Blue Space Africa is been in business since 2015, and initially, my background basically was leading the business for both EMC and Dell in Ghana, and later on, Dell obviously acquired EMC. So I came back from the US 2010 thereabout. Ghana at the time had discovered oil. And at the time, oil, any country that discovers oil is pretty much the focal point, right? So we led with infrastructure as a company, a multinational. 5 years later, I resigned and we started Blue Space Africa. And the goal was, I started seeing a trend, which is basically cloud-related trends. And at the time, Amazon and Microsoft and Google Cloud were quite at the infancies. So cloud was basically on my mind all the time. VMware was basically the word you heard in all the data center conversations. And so I said, you know what if we did something that was cloud related, but for the financial services ecosystem, right? Hence the name Blue Space. So if you hear Blue Space, you look at the clouds, right? So it was started as an infrastructure company, looking at cybersecurity, looking at data center virtualization, looking at how we can take cost out of the data centers. But we realized people who are buying infrastructure, the process of buying infrastructure, by the time the RFPs were done, by the time you select your vendor, you would have lost at least 6 to 9 months. And innovation is actually very, very fast. Things are growing very fast. So you're wasting time, basically. And we said, you know what? Why can't African companies consume infrastructure the way the cloud was basically designed? On demand, sure. Elastic. In our world, you have to ship hardware. You have to go to the customs clearing. You have to then offload. You have to buy insurance. You have to then deploy this particular asset. It takes a long time. Value is not realized in any of these processes till the customer puts application on the infrastructure. As
Fantastic.
a business,
So if I can interrupt you here, that's an excellent lead to my question. That sitting in Ghana, obviously I think you have some of the telcos, Vodacom, and some of the others as your customer. I was looking at the website. So according to you, what particular application stack, or let's say what particular IT resilience has helped some of the African companies to come through the last 18 to 24 months? If you can give me a more direct answer to that. Go ahead, Samuel.
Sure. So the resilience needed typically is to be able to deploy applications on demand, right? Customers need to have access to systems. In my customer segment, they are moving from branch-based applications to online. Customers come to the branch to transact with their bank brands. Today, the customer wants to interact with the bank online via mobile apps or USSD or web. So a bank who doesn't have basically digital channels or digital layers in their business, and they're dealing with legacy banking applications, will not be able to survive. So the first application we're seeing is that they are all going digital. They are putting a digital channel in front of their core systems. They're becoming API ready to be able to integrate and collaborate with third parties. The fintech ecosystem is growing in Ghana and in Nigeria, in Kenya, in South Africa. So digital channels, basically on-demand deployment. Cloud first is also the new resilient approach, because you cannot wait to ship hardware anymore. Right, so most of the customers are classifying their data, mission critical systems and non-mission critical systems, and then they are filtering the mission critical systems on-prem, and then not too mission critical are all moving to the cloud. These are becoming resilient. This is making them resilient. The last bit of technology is being able to have cyber at all parts of your value chain, right? So at the channel layer, within the internet layer, within the data center, cybersecurity is becoming the key. Knowing your customer no longer becomes filling some forms, but knowing what they are doing within the cyberspace, having the access management technologies in place within cyber. Encryption is also becoming a key thing that we've seen. So cybersecurity, digital channels, and on-demand cloud provisioning is what we're seeing out there to make them resilient.
Very interesting. And you've seen this across the large to medium enterprises, or we're seeing some activity on the small businesses also? What's your take over there?
Our segment is really, the medium to large financial service providers, and we're now trying to entertain some fintechs to work with us. But typically, it's about cost, right? And the way things work in Africa, you have to go to the board for everything to be approved, right? So it's also taking time to make decisions. While the decision-making process is delaying, customers are moving to other brands, right? So speed of decision-making and speed of knowing what you want is basically the driver. And it's mostly the medium to large enterprise. The entry startup community are basically rubbing with budgets, right? So they love the cloud, AWS, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Azure. These are the tenants that these startups entry levels are going to, and they have actually started everything they're doing cloud first. It's the mid to enterprise guys that are now trying to look at the cloud as though it's a new innovation. But the startup community have already embraced the cloud.
Okay, great. Very interesting, and glad you made the distinction between startups and enterprises, and obviously a great insight based on your baseline of experience with Dell EMC, and I think you started your career as a storage specialist. So great insights over there, Samuel. So I'd like to come to you. Yeah, I'd like to come to you now, Khalid. So Khalid, you also have quite a long baseline in Gulf Aluminium Rolling Mill. Before that, Zurich Insurance, and currently you are a board member of the international group of artificial intelligence based out of Bahrain, right? Quite a varied experience. Am I right about that, Khalid?
That's true, yes.
Fantastic. So obviously, these last 18 months are really challenging for businesses. And again, whether you want to be specific to your organization or from your learning, what success stories have you seen in businesses in terms of their applications, their technologies that's helped them to get through this last 18 to 24 so absolutely challenging situation? Go ahead, Khalid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arun. It was just lovely hearing from our colleague Samuel what they do in their respective country. Now, I represent a manufacturing company in Bahrain, though it's in Bahrain, but our operations are worldwide. We operate out of Bahrain, USA, Australia, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. So the spectrum is very large and global. Now it comes to technology. We cannot operate without having the right technology in place, either for us or for our subsidiaries. Now we have an ERP system which is doing the standard ERP operations, but as a plant manufacturing organization, we have in-house developed application as well, which is taking care of all our plant in terms of the integration, with the plant, the different accessories which you have inside the plant and so on. So the whole plant is automated right now in terms of the technology. We also have other applications that are developed on .NET base, which is supporting applications to our entire operations of the globe. Now coming to friend Samuel also mentioned the cloud side. Cloud is something in Bahrain as we always think as cloud as a first policy. Cloud first is mandatory for all of us. Now the government has initiated an initiative of introducing the AWS in Bahrain. So AWS services are already in Bahrain, the data center is in Bahrain. So we look at what services we can port on AWS so that's easily accessible from anywhere around the world. We also use Microsoft Azure, Office 365, the AWS Cloud Services, along with Citrix, so our subsidiaries can connect to us. We don't need to be in the office for our business operations, except the operators who are operating the physical plant. They need to be inside the plant. Otherwise, completely it's automated and we can work completely from a remote site. Now, when we say we have automated a lot, that means we need to have a lot of good framework also to be in place. We use the security framework of the ISO 27001 and the business continuity framework of ISO 22301 to make sure we are following the right practices for securing our services and access to our platform. But it includes not only the cyber security, it also includes the physical security, damages, theft, and so on. Of course, we, being a local company operating throughout the globe, we need to make sure that whatever we do is aligned and accepted by the regulations in Bahrain as well as the countries we are operating. So we make sure that whatever we do is also considering the framework and the regulations from around the world. So that's what we do, and that's been helping us in our journey. This pandemic, because we were prepared much in advance, being a global organization, it has helped us a lot compared to other organizations which were local and not very much ready. I think it's important also for anyone to think why technology is helping them. They should not think technology is a cost center anymore. It should be as a business enabler. That's what we are following from long ago, and that's what is helping us and adding value to our operations.
Very interesting, Khalid. I just want one clarification there. So this 18 months, was there any particular area where you re-looked at, where you reinvested, restructured? For example, you mentioned about the plant operations, and obviously we had all these interruptions between people movement. Did you actually have to enhance the automation? Did you have to bring in more of industrial IoT? Did you have to look at more of digitalization of the industrial operations? Were there any specific areas where you had to relook at technology? Go ahead.
Let me tell you the basic thing. When this issue started in Bahrain, the initial impact we had is the availability of the laptops. Simple. This is the basic entry level. There was no stock available in Bahrain because everyone rushed and purchased it. Now, for us to work from remote area or work from home or from a safe area, we need to have at least a laptop to work from. And that was the biggest challenge which we had in terms of having the inventory available. Now, in terms of our ongoing journey, because we had a long-term plan of what we want to do in our plant, we were already equipped with all the necessary automation and integration. We have taken a process in which every year we take up digital transformation as one of our key projects, and we keep building on it. Now, I'll give an example of, for example, when we have the wage scale, all the information which is there in the wage scale, we have multiple wage scale across the plant. All the information are automatically, with the help of the IoT processes, comes to our ERP system, and we analyze how things are working and what are the areas where we need to focus, or any maintenance is required, that we get all the alerts and the signals. The movement of the vehicles from the main gate and how much material comes in, how much material goes out, is all captured online with the help of various devices and tools and the sensors. So these are things which we implement year after year to make sure everything is in line with the industry and the technology is up to date.
Great, fantastic. So very interesting to note that your organization was proactive, and on an annual cycle, you relook at technologies, keep it operational, and obviously the supply chain challenges with regard to the laptop, I'm quite sure that happened in other areas. So Munir, over to you now. So essentially, if I see your background, you're actually a PhD, I think, in computer sciences, or specialized in some particular areas, and you seem to love cybersecurity, and of course, long baseline with United Insurance Company. Am I right about that? Go ahead.
Correct. Well, United Insurance is a general insurance company. We are giving insurance services, also the health insurance services. So when the pandemic started, last year in the March, lockdown was imposed in the March, and people were getting COVID-19 positive. And also, we had a different scenario that now we have to allow our staff to take the laptop or computers to their homes to work from home. Different, managers and people, they are working from villages. They had difficulty connecting to the, VPN services. So what we did is that initially we established a WhatsApp group immediately, started coordinating everyone, used the Zoom like we are using now. So first of all, we connected all managers using our voice over IP connection to the head office, because we are an insurance company. We have to give services to the customers. So customers are calling, for example, someone is getting sick. Now he will need an hospitalization help and a pre-authorization from the United Insurance. So of course he will be calling to the head office, and the people are not sitting in the office. So what we did is, first of all, in the first week, we established our communication. We allowed our managers, peoples, and call center agents to connect to the voice over IP server and start answering the calls. Let me tell you a very interesting thing. First couple of days, even me and my IT professionals, we were giving the services to the customers. So we were accessing because of our background, because we are related to the IT, so we know the system. Actually, United Insurance Company have in-house software development. So our ERP and all the systems are being developed by us. There is a subsidiary company called United Software and Technologies. So the start was like this, that we took all the measures. And the most important thing was that our branches were able to connect to the head office, and the head office staff was not used to of connecting to the services. So we have to make a task force that one IT guy, he's explaining to the manager how he will connect the VPN and how he will access the software. And as an insurance company, our document required signatures for the policyholders, approvals. So at the same time, we started, upgrading our documents. The digital signature, the documents, those are printing online in this period, are not required any signatures. So it was the major change. We have to took our software development team into it. And somehow, like in a 2-week, we were into a normal course of action, started giving the services, and we cannot say 100% operational, but somehow 80-90% we were operational.
Great, very interesting and excellent point you mentioned over there, because the customers are engaging face to face and there's a voice exchange. The most critical part of your setup was to get the let's say verbal communication going. rather than, let's say, information, because the business has to continue with customers. Correct, Ms. Munir?
Yes, correct.
Yes, yes.
You know, once the people take the devices to the home, you know, we started, receiving the threats, you know, the cybersecurity and data privacy. Of course, you know, the power user of the head office, now they are sitting in their homes. Someone have, you know, access level to the manager level. So we have to carefully see the logs. We have to check how the system is being accessed. You know, a lot of vulnerabilities were, you know, reported on our analyzer. So we deeply, our cybersecurity team deeply worked on these issues. And, you know, all the world, you know, face these challenges like we faced in United Insurance.
Very interesting. So obviously, clearly some measures that were taken to ensure the business was resilient and you could continue operations, and obviously ensure that, you know, financial stability was built in over there. So Samuel, let's go forward with a very interesting point which Munir has just mentioned, where he had to literally play multiple roles, you know, act like a customer service agent, also work with business, you know, enable them, plus of course do his role as technology. And I think what we have seen in the past 18 months is that technology heads have engaged much more closely with business. You know, in order to make this work, it's not just appreciation, but actually, you know, getting embedded with them. What's been your experience on this particular aspect of business and technologies heads working much more closer, much more like peers? Go ahead.
So I think Khalid was mentioning technology is no longer a tool. It's actually now the enablement, right, in businesses. So that decision, the board in most of the banks and insurance companies have to recognize that the new innovation in their business can never happen if technology decisions are treated like, you know, it's not significant, right? In the past, human resource was very critical, but technology was not looked as though it was that critical. It was more of a supporting tool. We need some laptops, we need some cables, we need some data center, we need generators. Now, technology is the thing. The thing we've seen in terms of alignment is most of the technology heads were not akin to the business outcomes, right? They didn't understand the objectives of business. All they knew was we need 50 servers, we need 100 laptops, they didn't understand the risk and compliance components to the impact of the business. They knew we have to buy software, you know? So that alignment is coming at a point where there has to be more close-knit relationship. The walls have to be broken where the IT people sit and where the business people sit. Now you have to, if you look at the Silicon Valley companies, you have an open floor plan. There has to be more fostering of collaboration, but we don't have that because of the pandemic. Now it's all Zoom calls, right? So you have to sort of intentionally create these work streams where the business is walking people to what the business processes are. So most of the companies that we're looking at who have embarked on digital transformation, they're dealing with two key problems. The first one is business process analysis. They have to be able to measure step by step all the processes involved in delivering service, right? And today, a lot of them were kept in hard paper, A4 sheets. You have to print this, you have to print that. Like Munir said, even the digital signature to transform into a digital signature phase of the business is very critical. It's very tough, right? Because there's a lot of fraud. There's a lot of fake documents that can be, you know, photoshopped and sent out there. Signatures can now be automatically photoshopped, right? So how do you digitize the business process? How do you bring IT to understand the impact of any sort of falsehood in the engagement process while wanting to go digital? So that's one of the things. The first thing is that alignment of business processes. The second thing has to be the actual capability of the teams, right? Oftentimes, you think skill set is something to joke with. The IT asset base outside of the engineers If you're a company that is led by vendors, your business is actually at very much risk, right? So the talent pool in the company becomes very, very critical. And an audit has to be done, a matrix of who knows what, how many people in the company has digital transformation skills, i.e. AI, i.e. machine learning, i.e. artificial intelligence, i.e. cloud, i.e. cybersecurity. How many people really have certifications? How many people really know how those technologies impact the business, right? So that cross-functional assessment between the business guys and the technology guys is very critical. It's missing. And if we do not, as IT practitioners, business owners, if we don't go to that methodological audit or diagnosis of the skill set, what will happen? A lot of the vendors will come to your company and preach to you what their solution will do, but they will not be able to integrate that technology into your work streams because they don't know your business. All right. So that's where the IT guy is coming in.
Understood. So let's take a break over here. I think your point is very valid. One is, of course, that technology specialists in Africa have learned to be more responsible about the outcomes, and second is about the skill sets. Very interesting point. I can see we're going to be having to reduce the time on the answers because we do want to go for one more round. So Khalid, over to you now. Obviously, a very rich organization in terms of processes and other engagements. Any specific peer-to-peer interactions with business that took place in order to increase the resilience of the organization in the last 18 months? Go ahead, please.
See, in this world, be it a workplace or it's home, your friend circle, nothing works better unless you work as a team. And when you work as a team, basically you are working towards your success, right? That's what I believe in. And as a CIO or a technology enabler or a consultant, it's our role to educate or to make our management aware of what is available, which can help the business. If you go and tell them this particular technologies I want to invest without having proper justification of how it's going to help the business, chances are will not be able to go forward. And that's where the disconnect comes between the technology and the other peers in the organization. So the first thing is we need to make sure whatever we do is a proper strategy set up in the organization from the beginning of the term or the year, that what is the strategy which you want to follow. Now, strategy is done. Step number 2 is have we engaged our business users, because change is always difficult in any organization. So when you have a strategy, we make sure that our business users, or at least the key top users, are aware of the changes what we want to plan for the whole term. So they're part of our budget preparation process, the part of our strategy process. And we know, since they all agreed to it, it's going to happen, right? Let's put it in this way. Third thing is then we go and look at the technology, because technology in today's world, everything is available. It's how we pick and choose to customize it for ourselves, right? So strategy, getting the users buy-in and getting the right technology available and how we want to use it. Now, when you talk about technology, the multiple things which again comes into the picture. Now, are we talking about digital transformation? If that is the example we take, what are the areas which you want to transform to digital format, and then how we want to use it? What's the purpose of that? And that's what we need. That's what basically drives and help the management to be your partner to implement your strategy in the organization. The certain things also come from outside the organization. Now, when we talk about the cloud computing, is basically a requirement from the government side that we should go to the cloud wherever possible. They do audit, they do follow up with us. So government is also taking a lot of interest in terms of the organization's growth and of course economical growth in the country. So that's something we also look into the picture. Now, third thing, being a global organization, we always want to see how our operations is progressing, how our finance are being progressing, how the operations team are processing the respective delivery of productions. So that is very critical for us to have everything in a digital format and improve on digital transformation year after year. In terms of encouraging the management and getting their buy-in, we also showcase and we also go out and look for the award sessions, and we promote our activities which we do to different organizations, and we try to getting some awards from outside on digital transformation or the best projects delivered in the organization in the respective segment we are in, which is manufacturing. So they also see the value and the benefit that it is not that what we do is a waste. What we do is really appreciated by the team and even by the outsiders. And that makes us unique from compared to others. And that's how we could build a huge connection between ourselves to go forward in the room.
Thank you. Very interesting, Khalid. I especially like the part about how all the whole management plus the organization plans for the changes. I think if a lot of time is spent on understanding and planning for the changes, the technology rolls out much more smoothly. So very interesting points over there, Khalid.
And I always say one more thing. In this particular 18 months we're talking about especially, this is very good time, which has brought the CFOs and CIOs in one platform, and they become very good friends. Earlier, it used to be a challenge to go to CFOs asking for extra budget, but now because of the close connection, it becomes very easy to go and get additional budgets also. Just a small hint.
Interesting. I think both sides have learned how to talk to each other much better and for the benefit of the organization. So Munir, last answer in this round, and then we do move to a much faster round. So Munir, your impressions on what made the difference from the rest of the organization in terms of peer-to-peer benefits? How did the relationships change? Quick answer from you there, Munir. Go ahead.
Okay, so once our operations were online, so we started picking the things to fast the process. So what we did is that we allowed our branches and network to use our mobile applications. For example, I will give an example that for motor insurance, we allowed our customers and branches to take the video for a pre-inspection. We are insuring because we are insurance company. So if we are giving a document with the digital signature, there will be fraudulent activities and there will be a lot of claims coming. So now our time was to make sure to stop the fraudulent activities. So what we did is we quickly start processing our claims using machine learning and deep learning, and the pre-inspection images and post inspection images were compared together. We started building the model, and also the fraud detection in the health claims. Like for example, we are getting a lot of claims from different hospitals, from different clients. So what we are doing we are comparing them with the ICD standards, that are actually this medicine is for that patient or not. So these models helped us process our claim processing and also the fraud detection. And also what we did is that the verification process of the policies, what we did is that we placed immediately a couple of URLs for the policy holder so that they can verify that their information, they are getting the original policy from the main company. And also what we did is we allowed them to renew. For example, if someone is not renewing the policy in 15 days, so the policy will get canceled. So we allowed this process online using our mobile app and our online interface. So this was after settling down the things, operations online, and then we focused on the machine learning and also image processing and digital signatures.
Interesting over there. So who was your best friend after you introduced all this fraud detection? Was it again the CFO, or was it the top management, or who actually?
Of course, the CFO and the top management, because once you are saving a lot of claims, actually you are increasing the profit of the company. And insurance company, it depends on, there is no problem to pay the genuine claims, but if you are paying a fraudulent claims, of course your bottom line of the company will go to losses, of course.
Sure, I'm quite sure the chartered accountants and other auditors were also equally impressed. So let's move to the last round, and we are actually way running out of time, but very important round, and let's see how we can quickly answer this in 2 minutes per person. So all three of you have used technology intensively. We've gone through a lot of experiences, and obviously we are now focused on the recovery and the future that lies ahead, let's say 12, 24 months. How do we actually catch the next wave of innovation, keep ahead of the competitors, make sure that we are not again disrupted or caught on the wrong foot by the next set of challenges? So Munir, I want to start with you, reverse way, your take in the next 24 months, which technologies are you going to leverage extensively to boost the leadership profile of your organization? Will it be AI? Will it be VoIP? Will it be security? Go ahead.
We are focusing now because, we are a very old company, more than 60 years. Now we are learning from the past data that what customer base we have. We are building, machine learning models on that which type of cars we are getting for insurance, what type of claims we are getting. So we are learning that data. Last year, I have started my PhD only because of this, to learn the data. So we are focusing big data analytics. And, in this 18 months, what we have learned is that the weakest challenge was humans, we ourselves. Like, for example, I am getting COVID positive. Someone is not connecting to the internet, and there is no, training and awareness. So what we are focusing now, that whatever we have built in the last 18 months, we are, training to not only level 1, level 2, level 3, even on the level 4. Because if we take an example today, I am COVID positive, my number 2 is COVID positive, my number 3 is COVID positive. So we are, the weakest link. So we are expanding our trainings to our staff. We are getting them awareness about the usage of the, new systems, new reports, and also giving them awareness about the data privacy and cybersecurity. This is, in my opinion, is the most important thing, that we should work in one team, and we explain all of our team members that how to react in this situation. Like, for example, as I mentioned in the start, that I had to work for a couple of departments. So IT has to be enabler with other departments. And of course, other departments have to support vice versa to IT, that what exactly they need. So I think that the trainings, big data analytics, and artificial intelligence is our take to move forward.
Very interesting. And I especially like that initiative where to go to level 4, because after all, as you said, you're investing in yourself by doing the PhD. The better you know the technology, the better the returns. And obviously for an insurance company, big data is so critical, to get the algorithms of purchase. Khalid, moving to your side again, your take on the next 24 months, where would you look at picking out technologies important for your organization? Go ahead.
I think for any organization, the next step is to take a step back and do a complete postmortem of what happened in the last 18 months. What plans they have put for their growth, and what has worked, what has not worked. What are the plans which is there in the paper in terms of the business continuity and resilience, whether it is actually working or not working going forward. But if you don't revise it, if you don't do the complete postmortem on it in a true manner, not just writing a piece of paper for the compliance purpose, but actually should be working model, then you will end up with the same issue. So if you don't want to have the same issues, the first step is to do a complete postmortem and see what is happening. Now, I see a lot of organizations, they have made the mandatory thing that in the organization chart, they introduce a role called digital strategist or digital transformation expert or something to do with the digital. Because now they have realized that this is the way going forward for them to continue the business. So digital transformation is becoming the focus area for most of the organization. With the digital transformation in the picture, they're also trying to look at the artificial intelligence and the robotics in the form of, they just started with the RPA processes, automating a lot of operations with the help of the RPA and the bots. So that's becoming very famous. And an organization like us, we need to invest a lot on the bots to make sure things are more and more automated. We reduce the dependency on the human and the human errors, especially being a manufacturing organization where things are a bit risky in certain areas. So it's better to let the bot operate in those areas. Cloud first is definitely the thing which everybody should focus and work and invest towards it. Now, our friend Munir just mentioned about the large data being an insurance company. Yes, large data is there, it's always been there. It's time to promote more and more the business intelligence and the reporting type of thing. With the help of Power BI, it's become very close to the finance people and the data analyst. They can use such tools to reduce the pain and the efforts from the IT team to the business side, because now they can see the data the way they want to see, they can visualize it, and they can develop more business sense out of the data than an IT department preparing some specific reports for them. I think for a manufacturing company is to invest on the digital transformation, artificial intelligence, robotics, even the 3D printing is something all the manufacturing companies should look into it in order to reduce cost and have a lot of inventory readily available to them. It all depends by when the true manner of 3D printing will be available for manufacturing. Power BI and should focus on Industry 4.0 as soon as possible and then go beyond that.
Great, fantastic. Especially like the last part about you reinforcing 3D printing. Yes, very correct. All manufacturing organizations should be looking at that prototype. So Samuel, you're last now, and your impression of which technologies, of course, you are looking at fintech and specific sectors, but your impression of which technologies will make a difference in the next 24 months. Go ahead.
Now, I have a framework called the 3 Ps, people, process, and products, right? The technologies that will prevail in the next 24 months, I'm looking at customers being close, companies being closer to their customers, right? Because you don't see these customers, you have to have a deeper affinity. Your people have to have a deeper affinity to these customers. And the key technologies we're looking at is customer experience management, being able to have tools, analytical tools, to be able to go out there and know what your customers are thinking. People are now putting feedback on Twitter. People are putting feedback on WhatsApp groups and Instagram. Companies today have to be able to understand the most critical aspect of their business is the people, is the customers that they sell to. And you want to know what they think about your brand. They want to know what they think about your service delivery. So customer experience management is very, very key. The second one is your processes, right? It looks like because we're virtual, the opportunity to come in a boardroom and sit and ideate and brainstorm, those things are going away. So what will help is documenting business processes and understanding what key technologies are going to be able to help you document them, measure them, because you can't do RPA without knowing your processes, right? You have to be able to, pick a company and say, okay, how many processes do we have in this organization? Treating the processes as though they are transactions, right? And putting a number that this particular engineering company or this bank, we run about 3,000 processes to deliver this business, and be able to measure that and then putting your RPAs and things on top. So this sort of brings you to what we call the low code, no code era, where you're now putting things in steps, right? You're putting things in phases and ideating, creating frameworks to allow any department to know what those processes are that governs those departments, whether it's the customer side, whether it's the product side, whether it's the compliance side, finance side. All of this have to be now documented and visualized. The last one is products, right? Building an innovative product, I think, is what makes a company different. The way we build, the way we engineer, the way we design. We in Blue Space today, we have a capacity building arm called the Blue Space Innovation Hub. We're basically allowing corporates, the banks and the financial institutions to understand what makes these startups different, what makes Uber different, what makes Deliveroo different, what makes Tesla different. What are the product design principles that companies are imbibing into their new way of doing business? And we're taking them through the innovative processes, design thinking processes. So product design have to be relooked at in the next 24 months. You can't deliver education product the same way you deliver today because it's changed, right? So the same way financial service providers, manufacturing providers, insurance providers, you have to relook at how you deliver the product, how you build it. Do you have customer involvement in your product design? Or you're just designing things because that's what you think they need? So product design, product innovation is very, very powerful. And that's what we believe will sustain the next 24 months. So in summary, your customers, the business process documentation and mappings. And then the last bit is your product design has to be innovative. It can't be yesterday's ideas and products. Thank you.
Sure. So, Samuel, thanks very much for that was a great list of best practices. I especially like the recommendation on low code, no code, great stuff for Africa and other parts of the world. So absolutely fascinating discussion. And I wish we had even a couple of minutes more to go through a few more things, but we're really running out of time here. And we have the next session also due to start. So with that, I would like to thank all of you, and great insights coming from 3 different sides, from the Pakistan, from Bahrain, and from Africa. A good and really healthy cross-border discussion which we had over there. And with that, I'd like to come to the end of this cross-border panel discussion. So on behalf of Global CIO Forum, the World CIO 200 sponsor partners, and the panelists here, Samuel Amanor, Khalid, Jalal, and Munir, Ahmad, I'd like to thank all the online attendees for sitting through this 30 plus minutes of absolutely engaging discussion. Look forward to seeing you once again. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Arun.
Thank you. All right. Take care.